Good evening and Assalamu alaikum. This is Hassan Zafar at Political Zone. President Trump announced the ceasefire this morning, Pakistani time in the morning, and after which several developments taken place. He gave a time frame for both sides, Iran and Israel, to stop firing at each other. And after that, we also saw President Trump feeling quite upset with the Israeli side when they continued bombing on Iran. So that's where we are. Practically, we are into a ceasefire, but let's see what it means. What it means for the Middle East, how the balance of power shifted during the last 12 days of the war. So to discuss this, we have Simon Sharaf Saab with us. Thank you very much, sir, for joining. So this is the situation.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So that's where we are. There are several questions arising after the ceasefire. But let's stick to the balance of power in the Middle East after the 12 days of exchanges between Iran and Israel. How do you see that at the moment?
Historically, in West Asia, there was always a rivalry between Persia and Arabia, Ajam or Arab. These were the two names given. But as it turns out, in this conflict, Ajam, that is Iran, has turned out to be the only country which is capable of fighting a successful campaign against Israel. Israel has managed to subdue every country of Middle East. And the twin engagements of Israel, along with the domination policy of United States of America and NATO, to plug the certain southern front in which America alone has bases in 11 major countries. I'm talking of countries in the Middle East. So the balance of power in the Middle East actually means the military power of Israel plus the military power of the United States of America. Whatever militaries, and they have huge defense spending, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, all these countries, and smaller ones like Jordan, and then Egypt, they are all dependent on United States of America. Most of the regimes are dependent on America for their security. So what it turns out is, it is Iran versus all of them. And in this balance of power, not only Iran was able to sustain an intense campaign against Israel, but also against the United States of America. After American Air Force took part in the bombing, they were able to hold their own. And in the past 2 days, even technologically overwhelm Israel. And perhaps a type of intense precision, accurate bombing that was carried out against Israel, with other complements of jamming and all sorts of those domain warfares we've been talking about, satellite interceptions, the networks going dead, the radars going dead, and Iranians being able to target with precision in that blackout. They demonstrated that despite all the limitations and despite not having an air force which could rule the skies of Iran, they were an equal match to everybody. And this is commendable. And I think after this campaign, I'll not comment about what President Trump is saying, because his theatrics, and he keeps changing his statements. We don't know what is in his mind, what it implies. the balance has shifted in favor of Iran.
Okay.
Israel has been on the
Here, before we
losing.
move, you said jamming of Israel's defense system by Iran. Do you think that it was, frankly speaking, was it Chinese help through which they were able to jam them? An interesting tweet, let's call it a tweet. He is posting, Donald Trump is posting on Truth Social, and very interesting. He says China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran.
Yes.
Hopefully, they will be purchasing plenty from the US also. It was my great honor to make this happen. So he is making a hint that there was perhaps a Chinese interest in this ceasefire.
There are some parallels, Hassan. For instance, very briefly, India attacked Pakistan. Pakistan Air Force dominated the skies, they dominated the cyberspace. Likewise, they dominated the grids and everything. Wherever Pakistan Air Force aircrafts, two of them with escorts, they went deep inside India to hit the S-400 sites and other sites were very successful. India could not interdict them. So that sort of a thing we have seen in the past 2 days by Iran against Israel. So probably they have used a similar type of technology. When Pakistan was doing it, as I said in my previous talk show with you, that it was the capability of the Pakistani systems to have evolved and done these things. But now we've seen it to a much lesser extent, but effective extent, taking place where Iran has done the same thing. So I think this was the time needed for these systems to be put in place. And certainly Iran has been facilitated, and the best of Iran is yet to come. As I said in the program in which I quoted Clausewitz, Iran's culmination point has not come. Whereas America's and Israel's culmination point was bombing the Fordo installations with daisy cutters and penetrative munitions, trying to dig holes and destroying, which is not possible with these. I had told you they need a huge kiloton of nuclear explosion to destroy them. And there was a warning time for things to have been shifted from those situations. So on that count also, Iran has fared better. And this electronic capability they have is one step up in the escalation. And the best of Iran is yet to come. They have preserved their national power, they have preserved their military power without an air force. That is very commendable.
Yeah. So, how do you read President Trump's claim that Iran called them before firing at their Qatar air base? What is that message?
You see, Iran had to retaliate. There were aircrafts taking off from Qatar Air Base and bombing Iran. And Qatar is the biggest air force of United States in the Middle East. And Qatar had good relations with Iran also, by the way. It had to be done.
So it was just a symbolic thing?
It had to be imposed on the Arab countries because now they attacked a base which was occupied by the Americans. 54 acres or so, 64 acres, which is American and allied forces stationed over there. What if they bomb the Arab military installations? Will they be able to respond? They were not able to respond against the Yemenis and Houthis. Saudi Arabia, you know about that. Their armed forces are not trained to fight. They're too luxurious. They're relying on foreign equipment. They're relying on a defense umbrella provided to them by the United States. And their allies, they're not very capable to fight. We have brushed shoulders with them We've done courses together. We've trained them also in Pakistan. They don't have that spark of soldiering in them at all.
So, do you see any prospects of Iran and Pakistan Air Force collaboration in the future? Because we have seen that in the absence of the Air Force.
It is too early to say, and this is something which is very sensitive. First, I don't know about it, and secondly, if I knew, I won't reveal it either. But in the future, I see that the Iranian missile program is very developed. So Pakistan could benefit from Iranian missile technologies, and vice versa.
Will you
Pakistan,
give them pilot training, provide maybe?
I was just going to say that,
Yeah.
and when Iran starts acquiring equipment from China, Chinese aircrafts like JC-10, maybe JC-35,
F-17
systems will come with it. That is where Pakistan could help them. Pakistan Air Force is much more combat hardy than the Chinese Air Force. Chinese Air Force has benefited from the experience of Pakistan.
But will that not also mean that Pakistan has finally decided to take sides in the East? Because
I don't know. I wish Pakistan had taken side. Pakistan has not so far. And my wish list would have no end to it.
that includes that Pakistan should be taking sides with Iran. Is that part of your wish list?
Yes, my wish list is it's a neighboring country, and a lot of muck that was coming to Pakistan and Balochistan through Iran. Now it's been revealed these were the cells of Indians and Mossad. And if it is true, then there's so much of information which must have come to Pakistan already to nip the evils in the bud. And you know about it that the Indians have not been very kind with Iran, despite being their ally for a very long time. They're handling the Chabahar port, and that is where all the spy networks are being caught. So,
Yes.
the future of relationship is between Pakistan and Iran, not with India.
Right. So you think both countries, Pakistan and Iran, they are going to recalibrate their Middle East policy after this ceasefire?
God willing, inshallah. Inshallah, it will happen. It may take time. Pakistan will get the chance.
But for this to happen, there has to be
the game of chance in that.
Samson Saab, for this to happen, there has to be a very clear realization on both sides that maybe we have been hanging out with unlikely allies in the. And we have
as far as the people of Pakistan are concerned, they realize that the future lies with Iran and with China. About maybe 80-90% of the population feels our future is with Iran and with China. It's not with the United States of America. It's not with Arabia. It is not with India. We have seen these dreams for far too long. We've been a transactional ally of United States of America throughout our history. What have we gained in all this time? We have gained nothing. We've even lost our pride,
We definitely paid a price. We don't have the terms of this ceasefire announced by any party. We don't know what happened in the background. Do you have any idea what could possibly be the terms of the ceasefire?
You see, today they fired northern Tehran. As of now, 2 huge explosions north of Tehran, fired by Israel, on which President Trump vented also and asked Netanyahu to ask aircraft to come back, but they didn't come back. They bombed. This will continue. Now, when Iran decides to retaliate, it depends how much they retaliate. But every day that passes, Iranian retaliation will be more severe, more controlled, because now electronic warfare, cybernetics, satellite communication, everything has come into it.
Hmm.
Netanyahu, Netanyahu will have to stop being a madman because there's so much damage. As per news, over 600,000 Israeli Jews have left Israel in the past few days. They gone to Europe. And the way they've been treated at the airports by the European people with Palestinian flags in their hands. There's so many videos which are flying around on social media. So Netanyahu will have to consider, what I suspect is many politicians in Israel do not agree with Netanyahu's policy,
Yeah,
and now they're
we
openly
also,
coming. There
we
may
also
be even a regime change. Netanyahu started with a regime change against Iran. That is out of context now. He may become a target of a regime change himself.
possibly because I don't know what evidence do we have to believe that Netanyahu requested this ceasefire, as the other side is claiming. What reasons do we have to believe this claim?
You see, this devil's triangle, the people who are the devils in this triangle, India, Israel, and United States, the leaders have similar personalities. They're narcissists. There's too much of their own thinking in their heads. Even Modi said we didn't ask. Again, they've said we did not ask for the ceasefire. But we know they asked for the ceasefire. There was so much chatter coming from Indian sources also, what happened. And we've been quoting that in the media and everywhere. Similarly, now Netanyahu is saying, I did not ask. Iran requested for a
He will
ceasefire.
never say that. But yes, there are stark similarities between the two sides, India and Israel. They set out to wage these wars, to launch these attacks on Pakistan and Iran, respectively, with the certain aims and claims. Have those aims been achieved through these campaigns? No. They came to destroy Pakistan's so-called terrorist network, the Indian side, and the world knows what happened. The Israelis came to destroy Iran's nuclear capability, and the second on the list was the regime change. Nothing happened. So, what was all this? Much ado about nothing.
Exactly. Both uh, both Israel also has failed. India also failed. Now, coming back to if they have failed in their objectives, they've lost the war at
Hmm.
this phase of the war conflict. It may prolong. The sharpshooting may continue periodically between the two sides. And the
Hmm.
third country may have to intervene all the time. But as time passes, I think the passion and the chance, the game of chance and the game of passion, which I mentioned in the Trinity of Clausewitz, it keeps falling in favor of Iran. It's got regional support. China's right behind them. Russia's behind them. Uh, they'll be able to recoup the losses very quickly. Uh, Israel is lost. There's no question about it. From the military point of view, if they have not achieved their main objective and the secondary objective, which was a spin off regime change, then all this fighting was nothing.
Yeah, if the objectives have not been achieved, then how
Nothing has
can
been.
they agree?
Whereas
Because
Iran has been able to preserve its whatever enrichment it has in the nuclear field, despite slashing off its top leadership through precision strikes, through fifth columnist, Iran was able to replace the leadership within the crisis as if nothing has happened. And the operation continued synchronized on their parts. So they've shown much better stratification and command and control too.
This exit plan, the script of the exit plan started to be executed or unfolded from the time B-2 bombers targeted Fordo and other two sites in Iran. That was only symbolic. They did not mean to damage or to inflict any damage on these sites. And then the symbolic retaliation from Iran. So it all appears to be quite scripted now.
You see, the whole thing is so confusing. I remember having discussed with you in a talk show. Sometimes it appears that everything is scripted and they're going according to a script. You know, a new trend has started. You inform beforehand, we are attacking these targets.
Just like Jaishankar, he said it himself. We told Pakistan where we are going to attack.
America did it, and Israel openly did it. And then yesterday, Iran also did it, attacking Qatar. Probably because they have they had fairly good neighborly relations. So maybe in that sense, because later on the president of Iran called the king of Qatar to tell him that we are brothers, and words to that effect. So this new trend has come in. But hats off to the Iranians, the balance of power has fallen to them. And I don't think it's a question of Arab and Ajam anymore. Iran has proved to be the only Islamic country in the region which has been able to give a real bloody nose to Israel, a tit for tat, equal in punches and perhaps more severe. So that division, I think the bigger concept of a country successfully beating back Israel, that is more important. It's not a question of Persian and Arabs anymore. It's a question of the Islamic world.
So does this ceasefire, the major question is, does this ceasefire guarantee a lasting peace in the Middle East, or there will be a part B of this plan that will be unfolding in the days to come?
You see,
by part we can speculate, we don't know, well, we can speculate that maybe a larger understanding among the Arab countries, Gulf nations, Iran, Israel, that they finally sit together and sort it out. The question of Palestine, the question of Iran's approach towards Israel. Do you think that that is likely to happen?
There is a festering wound. Every day, 60 to 80 unarmed people, children, in queue for food aid are being killed by the Israeli Defense Forces on daily basis. And within this fight of Iran versus Israel, they've just become a sideline. But I think they are a major issue. At some stage of the escalation, after Israel has taken more hits, Iran will come up with the condition that Israeli forces withdraw from Gaza and return Gaza to the Palestinians. This will come up because this whole conflict started from the displacement of Palestinians from their own land by Israel, whether it was Hezbollah, whether it was Hamas, whether it was Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO. So these people, hapless people who are being killed, who don't have weapons, anything, small children carrying bowls for food are being shot at point blank. It is terrible. And the international conscience is asleep on this. There are some reactions coming from Lebanon and all, but they cannot do much as far as Israel is concerned. So
and
this
then, of course,
have to be taken over by a
of human rights.
OIC plus
Yes.
Iran. supported by Pakistan and other countries. Palestinian question is going to come up sooner than later in this Iran-Israel conflict.
Okay, so the last question remains that there's a lot to discuss, and we'll continue discussing this thing for days. The last question for today's session, this session is, how will the Arab countries they be remembered in history during this conflict?
Muslim Zionists.
Okay. I think you put it in very, very strong terms already. So that's how it is. Samson Saab, I think we should.
I want to give you an example from history. I think I gave it to you before. The Babylonian kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar occupied Jerusalem, destroyed the first temple of Solomon, took away all the decoration pieces and holy relics from there to Babylon, and took all the Jews, most of them, as prisoners, and they were living in Babylon. You know that famous song by Boney M, by the rivers of Babylon.
Yes,
Who liberated them?
yes.
It was the Persians who defeated Nebuchadnezzar, brought the Jews back to Jerusalem, and the world may not know, I'm saying it now. The Persians built the second temple. They built the second temple for the Jews. And I'm telling you, this war of liberation for the entire Palestinians and Arabs now is being fought by Persia, Iran as we call them. This is a parallel in history, and the world must know it.
Yes. So I think we take a break here until our next talk. Thank you very much, Samson Saab, for enlightening our audience with all your knowledge and understanding of the matter. Thank you very much for watching. See you again. Khuda Hafiz, Pakistan.